that's a haven for graffiti artists and paintballers.
Yeah.
You sure this is the way, Brett?
Hey,
Hey, you guys, you want to split up? This place is pretty big.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a smart move to split up if they're going to figure out how this rusted-over giant once worked.
We can see that.
We'll see you in a while.
And we'll get some of that vertical perspective.
Brittany and Timmy will explore the inside of the structure and try to get up top to see how the cement...
Board here, and then the big grain elevators would come down the marine legs, and they would pull up the grain to the top, and they would go to the top of these storage bins.
When the St. Lawrence Seaway opened in 1959, that provided a direct route from the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean, and that made Buffalo obsolete. So then Buffalo really had lost almost all of its economic basis, and the city started deteriorating, eventually leaving behind these really monstrous relics we see today with, you know, no hope for their future use.
Concrete Central, like all but one of Buffalo's grain elevators, has long ceased operations, but its hulking ruins remain, too expensive for the city to tear down. On the other side of Concrete Central, Brittany and Timmy are trying to find a way up into the complex.
What's in here, Brittany?
There's all these weird paint splashes all over the walls, Timmy.
Little do they know, they're soon to find out exactly where those paint splatters come from and discover why Concrete Central was once considered so vital to the national interest that its very construction was kept top secret.
Ouch, that hurts. With old-fashioned soldering irons, you're stuck to the wall. Plus, they can burn through anything. There's got to be a better way. Introducing Cold Heat, the world's first cordless, cool-touch soldering tool. Watch, it's cold at first, but apply solder to the tip, and in seconds, it's hot enough to solder anything. When you're done, it cools down in seconds. Amazing. Forget tangled cords. Cold Heat is lightweight and portable. Uses 4 AA batteries.
In Buffalo, New York, our 4 urban explorers are scaling the rusted ruins of Concrete Central, once the city's biggest grain elevator. Bryce and Steve are on the outside perimeter, trying to figure out how the grain was raised up from ships and transferred into the giant concrete silos. Timmy and Britt are inside, hoping to find a way up to the top of the storage silos and see how they were filled.
Concrete Central was Buffalo's biggest grain storage facility. The place was massive. We were in there walking underneath all the storage bins, and there were like 250 of them lined up side by side for over a quarter of a mile. It's 4.3 million bushels of grain. Well, that's a lot of cereal.
Concrete Central was so crucial to the U.S. grain source and to feeding Americans that in World War I, it was considered a major homeland security risk. In an effort to protect this U.S. food source from possible enemy contamination, the World War I-era construction of Concrete Central was kept top secret.
So this is the real elevator part of the whole grain elevator thing, right?
Yeah,
The
we used to
marine
call it the
leg.
marine leg, right?
Yeah, because
Why do you figure?
marine, because they used it to get the grain out of the boats, and leg because it actually had a leg in it. The early ones looked more like, you know, a single spout, but probably somewhere inside this thing is an extendable spout that would come out to the holds of ships right there.
A proboscis, if you will.
Exactly, yeah, like an elephant's trunk. And it had this endless series of buckets on the loop that would just pull it all the way up to the top.
Before Buffalo invented the grain elevator, grain was offloaded literally on the backs of laborers who hauled barrels full of grain on and off the ships. But in the 1840s, 2 Buffalonian engineers invented a steam-powered vertical conveyor belt equipped with buckets that would scoop grain directly up from the ships moored alongside the elevator. Instead of hand-carrying barrels of grain, workers simply dragged grain toward the conveyor mouth that carried it up to a scale where it was weighed and distributed to the storage silos.
Sweet.
Totally intact. Here it is, the whole, the trunk of the elephant, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this roller up here, it would just like, this whole thing would just be shoved outwards, and this thing would be pushed out the window, and then they must have been able to lower it. This elevator itself, this tube would basically just come out and like far enough to clear out into the water, and then they'd lower it like 40 feet down to the water into the hold of a boat. Wow, Bryce, they had these buckets spaced like every foot or so. And to think, grain you or I once ate as a child may have come through these very buckets. The grain trade officially died in Buffalo just over 40 years ago, but there's still actually a couple ships that deliver grain to Buffalo using a modern mechanism that eliminates the need for the grain scoopers. The last of Buffalo's old-fashioned grain scoopers actually scooped its last final scoop of grain in February of 2003, marking the end of a technology that had lasted for 150 years.
While Steve and Bryce are starting to put pieces of their puzzle together, Britt and Timmy have found a way to get some elevation. To accomplish their part of the mission and see how the silos were filled, they'll need to go higher, which presents a challenge.
Timmy, what do you think? Is it gonna go?
Let me take a look. Yeah, I can see up another 5 or 6 stories.
Yeah.
And the treads are gone all the way. So, I mean, just judging, like right now, I'm 30 feet above the ground, which isn't so bad, but it's a clear shot all the way down to the bottom. I think, objectively, the hazards are too high. So let's say it doesn't.
Turns out in 1976, 2 kids were running around at the top of Concrete Central, and they fell to their death. So since then, the city's done everything in their power to prevent people from getting up there. Brittany and I really wanted to get to the top, but after weighing the pros and cons, it seemed like it was going to be too objectively hazardous. Sometimes you got to know when to call it quits. We called it quits.
How it works at the top, so.
Oh, check it out, Dunk. They cut down all the treads and stringers all the way up. Well, the stringers are there, but the treads
Oh, man.
Someone didn't want us getting up.
That's no good.
Probably head back and find Timmy and Brittany. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right.
Up next, the team heads to an unscheduled 4th site.
Gentlemen. Rise, Duncan!
Come on.
At Buffalo's biggest abandoned grain elevator, our urban explorers found out why Buffalo was once the center of the world's grain trade. But they failed to summit the silos and see how these giants were filled.
No, we couldn't get to the top, and we tried it, and then you see this thing that goes up here? Same deal, the treads were gone.
Really?
So we should find another one. What do you guys say we go to another grain silo?
Yeah.
Let's go check out some more elevators. I mean, when I was over there, I saw stacks of them. Whoa! Oh, Jesus, dude. What the hell was that, man? What the hell are these guys, man? Predators here. What the hell?
Jungle Man! Whoa!
The team has unsuspectingly stumbled into a paintball battle.
You got me. What's that, bro?
In the middle of a war, we gotta go.
Wait, you're in the middle of a war?
You're fighting right now?
Everybody get down!
People are around? There's other ones? There's more of you?
I don't want to be an urban explorer anymore.
All right, later,
Oh,
dude.
see ya.
Have fun.
Oh my God! It's a war!
Yo, get the Yo,
Cool.
we give up. We're done. Well, look, they're shooting back. We're good, we're done.
know that guy. You didn't even know.
We don't know what's going on here. What did we get ourselves into, you guys? We're still shooting at each other, man.
We were trying to get on top of here, you know?
Shots went everywhere.
That's not gonna happen. This place is gutted. You guys are looking for Niagara Falls, the Nabisco plant.
Yeah?
Yep, it's been abandoned for maybe a year now. It's got everything in it still.
That'd be cool.
Can you get up on that, up
Yeah.
on top?
All the way up.
How far away is it from here?
Niagara Falls, maybe 30, 40 minutes.
Jumpy around here, man. Safety's on, guys. Safety's on.
Yeah, we're friends. We're friends.
You know, you guys are looking for Niagara Falls, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Niagara Falls,
streets are on up there?
Nabisco, grain elevators to the summit.
That was good.
But of course, they'd know all these places, all the blown out buildings.
Thanks to the paintball encounter, the urban exploration team has added an unexpected 4th site to the day's expedition. The recently shut down Nabisco grain elevator located in the town of Niagara Falls, 20 miles north of Buffalo. The Nabisco grain elevator shut down in 2001, so this is a chance for the team to explore a grain elevator that's not rusted over. Yet.
How are we getting in here?
The sole objective here is to do what they couldn't do at Concrete Central, summit the building and see where the grain goes after it's elevated.
You know what
National Biscuit Corporation.
Yeah, you know.
Nabisco.
Yeah, the Triscuits. When was Triscuits were they started Triscuits at the timeline like in the early 1900s.
I like Triscuits.
Yeah,
I like those pickles on them.
I love Triscuits.
I really like sugar wheat, though.
Smells.
Yeah, it smells.
They've now made it up top to the head house, the structure above the storage silos.
This is great. This is what we couldn't do at Concrete Central. Look down into one of these massive storage bins. Each one of these things, when filled to the top, would hold 150,000 bushels of grain. That's a lot of cereal. It was also actually a really big explosion hazard. Grain dust can be more combustible than gasoline under the right conditions. So you can imagine how dangerous this was.
Grain dust-related blasts are the grain industry's biggest safety hazard. In the past 30 years, more than 300 grain elevators have been destroyed by spontaneous explosions. That doesn't include the close to 30,000 fires that have self-ignited inside grain elevators.
Kaboom.
What are you trying
After exploring the top of the Nabisco grain elevator, the guys know that they'll never take their breakfast cereal for granted again.
I'm always amazed at technology like the grain elevators because people take things like this for granted. I mean, who really knows where the grain comes for their bread or for their cereal? And this is like a major stop. This place is where, you know, everything happens. And it's the engineering that goes into it that makes it possible.
But mission accomplished. You figured it out.
I think so.
From the top of the structure, the gang takes a moment to admire the view of Niagara Falls.
Missed Niagara Falls.
Yeah, I think that is.
Looking over the 150-foot chutes that hydraulically powered most of this region during its heyday is the right place to end a day exploring some of Buffalo's industrial past.
All in a day's work. All right, you guys, let's boogie.
After a job well done, Timmy, Brittany, Bryce, and Steve can bid farewell to Buffalo and hit the road for their next adventure.
Pain.
Sorry, bro. My bad. All right, let's get out of here. Step on it, Bryce.
Coming up next on Monster Garage, Jesse and the gang turn a timid Toyota into a rough and tough vehicle ready to destroy anything in its path. Test your knowledge of Monster Garage trivia when you log on to the fan site, only on Discovery.com.